Welcome to the Life of Phys Podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Martin, and on this episode I have the legendary skateboarder, member of the Bones Brigade, musician, and illustrator, Steve Caballero. Steve is a legend in the skateboard industry. Based in Carlsbad, California, we talk about skateboarding, art, and he shares his wisdom with us all. Now let's get to the show. The Life of Phys Podcast is lit by Light. Light is on a mission to empower creators to elevate their creativity with lighting kits made to last and built to inspire. These lights are bold, beautiful, and powerful because Light believes that your lights deserve to be seen. To learn more, follow them on Instagram at HOBOLITE.
Hello, this is Steve Caballero, and I'm a professional skateboarder, artist, musician. I currently live in Carlsbad, California with my two kids. And here we are on your podcast, and thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on. So you've been around skateboarding for a while. I think what I read was you started in 1982.
76, actually.
Oh, I was off.
I graduated high school in 82.
Okay.
But yeah, I started skating about 75, 76. I went to my first skate park in Southern California around 1977, late 77, early 80, 78. It was called the Concrete Wave. It was right across the street from Disneyland. Fell in love with skating at a skateboard park. I'd already skated at home, building my own ramps, reading Skateboarder magazine. So I was already influenced by skating, but I had never visited a skateboard park. Because we didn't have any up north. And so really quickly, I want to say around 1978, Winchester was built. And then right after that was Campbell Skate Park. And so I had two skate parks about 20 minutes from me. And I was a weekend warrior there. I take the bus every day. And it got kind of expensive, for my parents and everything to buy equipment and to do skate time. And then, so I kind of migrated over to this one park called Campbell Skate Park, which would have competition for all the kids every week. And you had a chance to win free skate time, free products, free snacks at the snack bar. And then there was also competition to get on the team. And once you got on the Campbell Skate Park team, you were able to skate there for free. And you also got products from Independent and Santa Cruz that helped sponsor the team. So that was my goal, was to try and get on the skateboard park team. And so I would go a lot there and practice and learn tricks and compete every week to try to get on the team. And I finally landed myself on the team. And then that kind of taught me a little bit about dedication, perseverance, and practice and developing a skill and being rewarded for that. And so I learned that at a very, very early age of like 13, 14 years old, So that's the one thing I always like to tell people what I took from skateboarding is it taught me a discipline about failing to succeed, that you have to fail before you can be successful at anything. So what I've done is I have applied that attitude and that way of life to everything that I attach myself to, whether it's music or art. And so skateboarding really kind of set me on that path of learning things about myself and what I'm capable of.
Yeah, that's the same mentality that, it's that Slammerland mentality. You keep pushing yourself to progress and learn. And I mean, I do that in my workplace every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Still at almost 50, I'm pushing myself to be better every single day and know that I will have failures, but that's just going to lead me to success.
Exactly.
What year did you get on Pal Peralta?
I ended up getting sponsored by Pal Peralta in 1979. And that's because at that time, around early 79, I got on the Campbell Skate Park team, which we competed against a lot of the other skateboard parks that were in the Bay Area. I'm from Northern California, San Jose. So there was a bunch of different parks like Sacramento, Clayton Valley, Cupertino, Burlingame. and so we would compete against all these local teams from the skate parks, and we became the best team from Northern California, which in turn sent us down south to compete against skateboarders in Southern California. And that's where I got discovered by Stacy Peralta, who was a judge at that time. And I think he saw something in me that he really was attracted to. And I think it was maybe my stature, how short I was, and the tricks I was doing, and the power I had behind them. And I think he just really saw the grit that I had. And he was building a team at the same time. So I was kind of in the right place at the right time. And one thing led to another, and I ended up not doing very well at that contest. I actually fell, and I got 5th place, but for some reason he still wanted me on the team. And so, I said yes, and I've been sponsored by Powell Peralta since '79.
Yeah, man, that is definitely a legacy. And then you obviously have your own shoe on Vans.
Yeah, I've had a signature shoe since 1989. Yeah, I got sponsored by Vans in 1988. And then they approached me with a signature shoe, which I signed the contract for, and came out with the very first Caballero high top. And then within those 3 years from that, in 1991, we saw a lot of guys cutting the shoe in half. And then so we ended up creating the half cab, and that was released in 1992. And that shoe has kind of been the mainstay for Vans over the years. And last year I celebrated the 30-year anniversary of the half cab.
Wow. I remember the half cab. I remember when people would cut the high top, duct tape it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd see it in the magazine up here.
Yep.
And you'd be like, well, I don't know why they did it, but we're going to do it.
I thought the same thing. I was following the trend as well. So, I wanted to be cool like the other skaters, and so I started cutting mine down, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, why don't we just make them like this? So, it was my idea to call Steve Van Doren and say, hey, let's just make these shoes like this. Let's call it the half cab since we're cutting in half, and let's get a little silhouette of me doing one. And it could be kind of like the Air Jordan, the jump man. So the half cab was my jump man of Nike,
That's amazing. I was a big fan of that shoe. I miss skateboarding a lot. I still roll around.
Yeah.
But after 9 ankle breaks, I have trouble putting pressure on my foot.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna get back out there this year and just start cruising one of our local parks.
Yeah.
That's why I have a Caballero to build up.
That's awesome. I have an ankle break from motocross injury that's kind of been giving me problems over the years. So I understand where you're coming from with the ankles.
It's incredible how much I counterbalance myself on the good foot.
Yeah.
So when you try to roll into a transition, all my weight's on the back foot instead of being forward, because I've learned to counterbalance.
Your body just does that naturally. I discovered that when I broke my femur in 2019. Broke my left femur, so I was favoring my left femur with my right leg, and then 10 months later, I broke my right ankle. And so once I was not favoring the left leg, I was trying to favor the right leg. I could feel the pressure and the pain from the femur break, and I was noticing like, wow, man, this is really sore, So the body just wants to do that, to just kind of help protect itself. But we're pretty adaptable, and I think our body just kind of changes to how we feel and what's mobile and what's not. And body's a pretty amazing vehicle that is capable of healing itself.
Exactly. And the last time I did it, I didn't take medical advice. I just wrapped it up and said I'm good, and I've paid for it ever since.
I did that with my ankle. I didn't go back into surgery. They wanted to do surgery on my ankle, and I just left it. So it kind of healed a little crooked, and they wanted to scope out a little bit of cartilage that was built up in my ankle, and I didn't do it. And this was during the COVID time. I didn't really go into the hospital at that time because of all the stuff that was happening. So, I'm still limited myself, but I've worked through it the best I can, and still pushing forward as well as, I'm 59 years old and I still work as hard as ever to be where I'm at.
I watch the videos either on yours or Tony or even when Colin posts them. Yeah. And I'm just so amazed, man. Like, you're still so smooth. And I'm like, dang. So you and Colin have actually given me a lot of motivation, because I know Colin had a lot of shoulder issues. But I'm just going to start slow and start rolling and just take my time and build myself back up and not let it hamper me anymore.
No, go for it. Yeah, man. It's just baby steps, and you can get back at it. It just takes a while. Trying to get over the fear of getting hurt again. It's always on the back of my mind.
Yeah. And then you're out there shredding on your dirt bike constantly.
Shredding and crashing.
Yeah, I saw that just recently. You went down again.
Yeah, that was on my mountain bike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw you got into mountain biking recently.
Yeah, mountain bike's a good release, and it's also a way of just enjoying the outdoors, It's amazing the feeling you get riding with your buddies. It's just amazing being out in nature, climbing mountains and just being out in the open air and just trying to conquer a mountain, going down the fastest you can down certain like little chutes that people have dug out, rock gardens and gaps, and it's just fun challenging yourself that way. But then, also we're doing something really dangerous, so there's a risk factor, and I think the skateboarder in me wants to try to conquer that as well and try to progress and overcome my fear. I feel like life's all about overcoming fears, because we're so afraid of everything of the unknown, and so when you're able to overcome your fears, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling of empowerment, and it's a great feeling of learning who you are and what, how durable you are as a person. And it can be even not so much a skillful thing, but even a mental thing as well, because I feel like everything that I do is like 90% mental and 10% skill. If you can't get past the mental part, you won't even get to the skilled part.
Yeah, mountain biking's huge in British Columbia. I took up mountain biking in mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Everywhere, went all over, did the crashes when the big drops were coming out on short travel bikes.
Yeah.
Even worked in the industry for a while. I worked for Giant Bicycles.
Oh, cool.
Before I went back to cars. So I know that's something you have a passion for as well. You love your cars.
Yeah, I got into it around 1999, 2000. A friend of mine was getting me into motocross at that time, and he was in a car club called the Road Zombies. So I started hanging out with him a lot up when I used to live in San Jose, and I actually ended up buying my first Model A, 1930 Model A, and it was like a kind of a hot rod, rat rod type car, and I learned a lot about the whole culture of it, going back in time and learning what they did in the 50s and the 60s, taking those cars and racing them, and so I got like a lot really into the whole traditional hot rodding aspect of it. And so I was into that for a while, and I still have a 1935 Ford that I keep, and I have a 1965 Ford Econoline that I have in the shop still. I sold my Model A to a guy back east, and then it actually ended up switching hands about 4 times, and now it's in Germany. And I just saw that car in person again. My friend Titus owns it in Munster, Germany, and he brought it out to one of our shows that I played with my band Urethane, and I got to sit in it again and sign the back of it. And so it was really cool to reunite myself with that car.
So transitioning to your illustration, did you find inspiration from people like Big Daddy Ed Roth?
Of course. Yeah. So I want to say my whole involvement with hot rodding sparked an interest in pursuing an art career, because I was part of this message board called the Hokey Ass Message Board, which is called the Ham. And it was a lot of enthusiasts that would get together and show their builds. And they had a Friday night art show that I would participate in, and I would, paint things that were hot rods and then show them on the thread, and just got really inspired. And then I started doing a lot of car shows, art shows that were related to hot rodding. And that kind of became the theme of a lot of the things that I drew. And so I even traveled to Japan with Burnout Magazine for my friend Nash, who makes that magazine. And he brought me to Japan as an artist. I mean, I would go there in the 80s as a skateboarder, but he was the first guy to really notice my art and wanted to introduce the Japanese culture to Steve Caballero, the artist. So, and doing a bunch of shows of his own shows, I ended up getting recognized by people at Yokohama and started doing the Moon Eye show there as well. Yeah, it started off with a lot of 1960s Ed Gaddy Roth rapping stuff and like a lot of hot rod culture stuff. And then I kind of just transitioned to a lot of subculture stuff, like the stuff that I was growing up with, Batman, Spider-Man, superheroes, and monsters, and, you know, just kind of fun stuff that I, as a kid, enjoyed Saturday mornings watching cartoons and creature features at night, you know, on the weekends, and, you know, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's been neat to, you know, see how you keep your level through everything. You've always pushed to that higher level. So you're skateboarding, even watching some of your mountain biking videos, I can see the skateboarder come out. And I found that I have to watch myself. I have to tell my brain, like, my brain says, you can do that.
Yeah.
But my body's like, please don't.
Yeah, I feel it takes a bit of wisdom to ride safely, you know, and try to get away from injury. But, you know, it's just kind of one of those things where the things that we do are dangerous, and you make one mistake and it can go bad really, really fast. And that's the chance that you have to take to be great at anything, you know, and I'm willing to take that chance because I think it's kind of like my drug, you know, it's my addiction to overcome a fear and to be able to just see my full potential as a human being and push myself the furthest I can, but also be wise about it and know when to say no and know when to, like, you know what, I'm not going to do this today. I want to ride another day. But then, you know, even with skateboarding, there's always that time where it's like, I don't care if I get hurt. I'm going for it, you know? So, and, you know, and it's not for everybody. Not everyone's built that way. I don't think that I was born that way. I kind of felt like I've grown to learn to be that way. And I think the risk overrides the reward. If that did I say that right? Or the reward overrides the risk.
Yeah.
You know? So by doing that, I've made a name for myself, and people are inspired by that. And so it just keeps pushing me to keep doing more things to inspire people, encourage people, to help them become more than they feel like they are. You know, I think we are our own worst enemy as far as like determining what we're capable of and what we believe in on ourselves. And I think if you really believe in yourself, you can accomplish so many things in life that not only do other people doubt, but you doubt yourself. That's why I love life, man.
Question for you, Steve. When you're down with an injury and you can't do the pursuits that you enjoy, how does that affect like the mental health aspect? Like does it just take you to somewhere different, or you've just done it so long you're able to overcome?
Yeah, it takes me to art and music.
There you go.
Instead of sulking in the fact that I can't skate or ride dirt bikes or ride mountain bikes, you know, at least I can still draw. At least I can still pick up a guitar. So I utilize that time. I don't waste time. You know, I'm a multitasker. So if anything, I'll use whatever I can to keep myself busy, you know, and not waste time, because we don't really have that much time here on Earth if you really think about it, you know, and some people have less than others, depending on the people you surround yourself, the things that you get into, the influences, whether they're positive or negative, can shorten your lifespan. And what I've learned in this world is nothing's promised, and you could be doing the best things to keep yourself healthy and doing the right things and saying the right things, and someone else can just ruin that for you. You know what I'm saying? So there's no promises in this world. It's just like you got to live life day by day and enjoy it and be humble and be grateful for what you have and not be disappointed of what you don't have, because it's a lot better to enjoy little things in the world than to live your life depressed and bummed out about the things that you don't have, and that's what I want to try to teach people, is that your mindset is what determines your happiness. I feel like happiness is a choice, and depending on how we approach life, we make ourselves happy, not other people and not other things. We are in control of our own happiness and our own destination by choices that we make, and for me, I try to make the best choices I can. They're not always the best choices, and I've made some bad mistakes, but at least I've learned from them, and that's where wisdom comes in. It's through my experiences and learning to not make those same mistakes. And I think skateboarding really taught me that, because when you're learning tricks, man, you mistake, and you don't want to do those same mistakes or you never get to learn the trick. But once you figure it out, you're like, oh, I get it. That's how you conquer this. This is how you master this. And we can master life as well the same way if we use that same attitude. But like I said, we're born with free will, and someone else's free will can just ruin your whole day. That's just
Definitely.
The way it is.
I like that analogy that you just used. I'm Indigenous, and I'm working with another Indigenous artist. We're trying to bring pride back to the youth of the communities. A lot of them don't have pride in their culture. And we're trying to figure out a way to make them understand they should be proud of who they are and work it through with them. So I think that will be some pretty wise advice to pass on.
Okay. So pride, that is a very vague word these days. And, to be honest with you, like, I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of their accomplishments. But in turn, I don't want to be prideful myself, because I feel like when you're prideful, you're not open to other ideas. You're not open to other thoughts, views, because you're so prideful of yourself that you block off anything else that can be learned. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I would rather be a humble person. I'd rather have humility than pride. When it comes to being, like, I see a lot of people are prideful because of their heritage, or they're prideful because of their country. Well, I feel like when you're prideful in those sense, you're putting yourself in a box. You know what I'm saying? You're saying, like, I should be proud because I'm this heritage. Like, I'm part Mexican and I'm part Japanese. And I don't see anything productive of being proud to be a Mexican. I don't feel anything proud to be Japanese. I don't feel anything positive about being proud to be an American. Because what does that say about other people that aren't? You know what I'm saying? I'm not proud, to be a skateboarder, because, what does that say about other sports? The pride, you got to kind of watch out with that word and how it affects you. Like I said, I would rather show humility than pride or ego. But then again, there's a positive thing where, like, I tell my kids I'm proud of them for their accomplishments, but I don't try to leave anybody out. Does that make sense? Or
it did fully. I like that. Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah. So I feel like pride can be taken in a very negative way. So I'm a Christian, and what I'm trying to do is get rid of my prideful attitude and be more a humble person, and not be egotistical and prideful of who I am. That's kind of my take on that.
That's a very valuable and And sometimes a very tough lesson to learn, to be humble enough to let your pride go.
Yeah, you've heard that term, right? Man, that person's so prideful. He doesn't, he's just like so stuck in their ways, and they don't want to be open to anything because they're so proud. But to me, sometimes it has a very negative connotation to the word. He's so proud. So proud. I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could be proud of myself, but how does that affect the other person around me?
Maybe the word pride wasn't the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So maybe turning it into how to be humble enough to just be open to accept everything around you is more a better analogy to work with the youth of the community.
Well, just be grateful. I am grateful to be to live in the country that I live in. I'm grateful to be in the position that I am in. Yeah, I think gratitude goes a lot further.
I definitely agree with you on that. So let's talk about your music. So I remember you used to play in the Faction, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that your first band that you played in?
Yeah, that's the first band I started in 1982. And that was a band that started with a bunch of skateboarders that kind of knew how to play instruments, but we all skated together. After the park closed, we went and found different spots to skate. And so we kept our skateboard scene going, even though there was no skateboard park around. We went out looking for different ways to skate and express ourselves in creative ways on a skateboard. So we'd find pools and banks and ditches and build our own ramps. And that was our skateboarding. And that was the birth of Thrasher magazine as well. But also, I was into the type of music that skateboarding kind of went hand in hand with the very raw, hardcore, do it yourself. It wasn't very polished. It was, you didn't have to be signed by a major label for people to hear you. We weren't playing concerts. We were playing gigs and club shows, so it was just my introduction of playing music in the most basic way without even knowing how to play an instrument, but trying to at the same time. And so punk rock kind of fell into that category. But over the years, punk rock music has changed as far as genres and the way it sounds. So I always feel like punk rock was more of an attitude than actually a type of music, and it's kind of was an attitude about going against the mainstream of what they say is cool and what people follow. And I think skateboarding kind of fell right into that as well. They kind of went hand in hand because, what was popular back in the day, for sports, team sports, football, baseball, soccer, but there was no skateboard parks around. No one ever thought that a skateboarder could make a living at riding a skateboard or be competitive or be athletic, a sportsman, as a skateboarder. And we've proven that you can, and that people do it. There's an interest in there. There's an excitement, and it brings people together. It's a family sport, but it's also a creative art form as well. So not only is it a sport, but it also is a way for people to express themselves in a creative way that people see the world differently. Skateboarders, I always feel, see the world so much different than a person that doesn't, and that's where the creative part goes. So the art, the music, the skateboarding, it all kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah, the hot rod stuff. A lot of hot rodders were skateboarders when they were younger, so they have that same attitude with taking cars and creating and making things out of nothing, or taking something that's destroyed and salvage it and make it look beautiful in its own way, So I've met a lot of artists that are hot rodders and have done some amazing things, taking one engine, putting in another, and taking tires and rims and putting on another car, and just making this whole Frankenstein looking car that just looks incredible. And so I think that's why it just kind of goes hand in hand, because we're all the same type of people, just trying to create things out of nothing that someone would just kind of throw away and see a beauty in that and be like, don't throw that away. I can make something out of that.
Yeah, exactly. my kids get so frustrated because we're driving down the street and I'm like, oh man, you could skate that and you could skate that. And still, that's how I shoot photos as well. I shoot at different angles of different things. I just shoot with a skateboarder's eye. Mm-hmm. I look at the world like a skateboarder still. I found a banana board in 1984, 85 in a garbage can. Mm-hmm. And I learned how to ride it down the alleyway behind my grandma's house.
That's awesome.
And it went from 84. And then the last time I rode of any seriousness, I was 37. So in 84, I was 12. No, 84, I was 10. Put a lot of time with the skateboard. They're still all over my house. I love them. I found some old junior high yearbook posters of doing a board slide on a bus bench. And I was like, yeah.
That's right.
I kind of feel like everything I do is through a skateboarding eye. The reason I don't quit when it gets tough is because I learned from that Slammerland mentality that, even if I don't succeed right now, the next time I hit it, I'm going to succeed.
Right.
So that's always super important. And you have a current band now, correct?
Yeah, the band is called Urethane, like the skateboard wheel. And we've been together almost 3 years now. We kind of formed through the whole COVID times when stuff wasn't happening. And so we were writing music and writing an album. And by the time stuff opened up, and was able to hear live music again, we were ready to play out, and we had a whole album written and recorded. And so we were working while people were just kind of wondering what was going to go on with the world. We were still trying to create and progress. And once again, skateboarder mentality. It's just when you can't do this, do something else. Don't just sit there and be bummed out that your situation has changed. Like, make something of it, think outside the box, find ways to be creative while people aren't, and I feel like that's the way that people are successful when people are out still thinking, doing, and people are just kind of just sitting, complaining, like why things are different. And so we were able to create this band and I have a lot of cool members in there that I get along with really well, and we mesh really well. And we've done 2 tours in Europe already the last 2 summers. We're skipping this summer to go to Asia. We're going to do South Korea, and Japan and Hawaii this time. And so we're working on another album right now. So, my plate's pretty full, whether it's art, music, skating, taking care of kids, riding dirt bikes, riding mountain bikes, doing my bills. I have to do my bills tonight, by the way, and make them dinner right after this podcast.
Yeah. With that plate full, I'm super appreciative of your time for sure. What was it like being part of the Bones Brigade?
In the heyday? It was a great time to be a part of a collective of skaters that had the same mentality of just being the best you could and pushing each other to be the best we could, and creating a new way of looking at our surroundings and a new way of like pushing a sport to another level. And the fact that we had Stacey Peralta and Craig Stesick, very creative people, utilizing everything that was around us, even like the invention of a VHS camera. That just came out, and then Stacey was already filming videos with that. So I've seen the invention of the video camera come from like a big, huge camera with a recorder to like small compact cameras to now your cell phone. You can record a whole video with just a phone. It's incredible. But we captured these moments in time, and people capture them with film. So there are a lot of moments that are captured in magazines, and we just created an art form that people could be inspired by and enjoy and feel like they're a part of something and a part of a family. And Stacey had a really good knack of finding talent. And so he found us, and he labeled us the Bones Brigade. And his plan was to put us on the team around, 1980 and go through the 80 decade of the 90s, and then like get amateurs to replace us. But for some reason, we weren't replaceable. So there was a lot of people on the team that couldn't take our spots, and there wasn't that much room for more professional skateboarders. So team went from a really small team to a huge team to back to a small team. And then finally in the 90s, when the skateboard industry kind of lost its flavor and it went from vert skating to street skating, that whole new genre of skating, board shapes, the way it looked, the interest of skaters, what they wanted to do on a skateboard, it changed the whole dynamic of the sport and the industry. And you either went with it or you were out. And so PAL Skateboards wasn't doing very well in the early 90s. There were other little companies coming in, taking that piece of the pie. And so our boards weren't selling very well because there was a new genre of skaters and there was a new look. There was a new type of skateboarding that people were interested in. That was called street skating. And so if you didn't go with it, you kind of got left behind. And so there was a point where everybody had to leave the company and start their own companies. And because I was associated with Vans in 89 to 92 with a very popular shoe, I was making an income that subsided the lack of board sales. So it didn't affect me as it did affect Tony and Lance and Mike and Rodney and everyone else that was on the team. They all had to quit. And so I just stayed on PAL, because I had another income to sustain me. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I didn't have a model on PAL skateboards from 1993 to about 96. Yeah, no pro board at all.
So no board income whatsoever. Wow.
No, I just got paid to ride for PAL, but I didn't have a board sales. No. So just kind of went back to how I first got on the team and just wanted to be part of something still, So I became team manager at one time. I helped produce some videos for the team. And I got a taste of that. And I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the way the skateboarders were treating me and looking at me. So I kind of put that role aside of team manager, and I kind of just wanted to be on the same level as the team riders, and I just became a team rider again. And then eventually in 96, 97, I got a pro board again. And it was a street model.
I remember Street Cab.
Yeah. I did my best, man. I tried to make I didn't want to lose this whole professional career. So I kind of just went with it. And I put my time in and I slammed on some gnarly things. I put myself out there to make a name for myself in street skating.
Yeah, you did some. I remember watching, I can't remember what video it was, but you've done some huge rails. And just the thought of coming from someone back in the late 80s, early 90s that was known for as a vert skater and watching you throw down on some big stuff, it was mind blowing. Because I rode mini ramp, didn't do much vert. I rode Emra at the Richmond Skate Ranch often, but just nothing. I always watched Colin and Sluggo, and my mind was blown. Street skating is where I found my groove, with the little wheels, the hip hop, and the big pants. That was the era where I was at the peak of my skateboarding, and just watching you come out and hammer a rail that I wouldn't even look at. It was super impressive.
I was in my prime at that time. I was 35 years old when those videos came out.
Yeah. Was that band this, or was that
it was way after that?
Okay.
So I want to say my last video I shot was class of 2000. Yeah. Band this was like 88. Yeah.
I remember that because that's where Mr. Ray Barbie really kind of stole the show with his little smooth flow. Another super talented member of the Pal Peralta team.
Yeah.
Everybody on the team seems to is multifaceted. There's so much creativity in all of them.
Yeah, Ray's actually took up the guitar and has done really well for himself, putting out music, and he's a photographer as well. But he's putting a lot of time with music. So he's recorded his own solo music, and he goes on tours with Tommy Guerrero sometimes, who also does music. He does a lot of stuff for Vans. Ray Barbie does. So he's still out there playing guitar and just creating.
that's what it's all about, is keeping ourselves creative and pushing our limits in all aspects of life. I appreciate you taking the time, accepting my reach out to come on and just share some wisdom. A lot of people that so far with this podcast, it's pretty new, but I've had some pretty good response to trying to be positive and building communities. And I take that from skateboarding. People ask me what I mean, and it's like when you're in a van and you're driving around to skate park with a crew of friends. That's what I want to build for creatives.
Well, definitely there's a competition with everything. You just you got to try not to lose your integrity. And, I think friendships are most important, but if there's an art skill that you're trying to sell, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that want a piece of the pie and do the same thing. So yeah, there's evil in this world, and there's going to be people that do things in a negative way, in a dishonest way. It's just life, we have that choice to be good or be evil. That's free will, and everybody has that choice, and everybody has made that choice at one point in their life. There's, scripture says there's no man that's good. Everyone has fallen short of the glory of God. And it's true. I've lied before. I've stolen before. I've gossiped before. To say that you haven't done that, you're not honest with yourself. I've cheated before. It's just a part of who we are, but what's awesome is we're given a choice to choose this path or choose that path. And sometimes a lot of people want to choose the easy route, because the easy route is sometimes a dishonest route. And the more honest route takes a little bit longer, takes a lot of patience. And so my definition of patience is long suffering. And if you're not able to suffer for very long, you have a lack of patience. I think people should remember that.
The wisdom of Steve Caballero. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
A lot of it hits deep. It's, I feel like I'm trying to create this space. I don't want to say it's a repentance, but I've done things in the past I'm not proud of.
That's okay.
But
that's okay.
I want to leave a stone for my children to see that I worked hard and I didn't quit on myself, and give them something that they can see that I didn't quit when I could have.
Right. I mean, we're all inspirations. I know that I have a platform. I know that I have a voice, and people look up to me, but they also judge me at the same time. So not only are they inspired by me, but they're critical and judgmental as well. And that's just that's just human nature. Either be judged or judge other people. We do the same thing too. So you just kind of watch out to not be a hypocrite. The beauty of life is God gave us a free will to choose. So no matter my parents showing me the best way possible, I'm going to choose my own way, because I'm my own person. Whether they gave me the tools to make the right decisions, I'm going to choose a bad decision because of the free will that I've been given. And same with my own kid. I can bring them up the best way that I can, but it isn't a for sure thing, because they have free wills too. And they have the choice whether to listen to me or to disregard what I have to say. And it all comes down to trust. That's the bottom line. Trust is so important, because that is the tool that will decide your factor in the way that you live your life. Who do you trust? And whoever you put your trust into, that's who you listen to. Whether it's the news, whether it's your parents, whether it's your friends, they're all giving you information. And if you trust that information, you don't know if it's true or not. You don't know if it's good or not, bad or not, unless you test it out. And I'm 59 years old, and I've tested out a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I have experiences. There's a lot of things that I haven't tested out that other people have, and I saw what happened to them. So true wisdom is me looking on the outside and seeing the effects of people's choices, and don't go there. That's true wisdom. I don't have to experience a bad situation to know that that's a bad situation. That's wisdom. And that's something that we're all trying to learn so we can get through this life in the most comfortable, healthy, positive, safe manner, but it's so chaotic. We live in a really chaotic world that people are just fighting against each other. And a lot of people are fighting their ability to accept God in their life. I know I did. I fought for 41 years. I told Lance Mountain, I'm not going to believe in your God or your Jesus until he reveals himself to me. And sure enough, he did. Because I asked for it, So everyone's fighting against something in their life. And that's just human nature, man. We just want to do the best thing, but we just don't know what it is. We don't know who to trust. I put my trust in God 2005, and I haven't looked back. And I remember saying, like, okay, I'm going to become a Christian, and I'm going to figure out who this Jesus person is. And if I find anything whack about Christianity, I'm out. You know what I mean? And so since 2005, the only thing I've found whack about Christianity is Christians. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Not the word of God, though.
Yeah.
Not at all. That's true. And that's something I hold in my heart. And I know that those are the tools that are going to keep me as safe, not only from other people, but from my own destruction, my own demise, because we're our worst enemy. Our thoughts are our own worst enemy. And we can think some crazy things to ourselves and just lead us in the worst direction. And so I want to have positive, loving, spiritual, godly thoughts in my head so I make the right choices in life. And I want that for my kids. I want that for my friends. I want that for my fans. That's what I want. That's not what they want. You know what I mean? It's the risk that I have to take. Whenever I post anything about God or Jesus on my social media, I'm risking followers. But you know what? My faith in God is worth more than 100 followers or 1,000 followers. I could care less. I don't even know those people. I could care less. I appreciate the fact that they follow me and they're inspired by me. But if there's something that they don't like and they go like, well, I'm going to unfollow that guy. All right, sayonara. I'm giving you my true self. I'm giving you all of me. If you don't like me for who I am, all of me, then you can dislike me. What I've learned in this world is you can't please everybody. It's impossible.
I learned today from you that I'm going to work on my humility and my humbleness. I like the way you put that, and that's sometimes that's what we need. I mean, I grew up going to a Christian school, so awesome. for the first 7 years of my life, awesome. I wasn't baptized, so I didn't take part in communion, but I still took the lessons and the learning.
Yeah, and
I have a mixed feeling about things because of the school I went to. There's things that happened that weren't cool, and so. But I've never not believed, and there's times I went through a rough time with my ex-wife passing away, and my mom and my dad, and I hadn't done it in a long time, but before bed I just said, give me the strength to be strong enough for my children.
Yeah,
when I didn't feel like I could be, and it's always there.
Yeah,
and so I see you post all your stuff up, and I read it and I resonate it. That's you, and that's who I respect as a person. So, followers don't make you a better person. I speak to high school photo classes and try to steer them clear of pitfalls of social media, because it can lead you in really bad ways.
For sure.
And just letting them know that the followers don't matter. It's how you feel about the product that you put out. If you put out an art piece and you're proud of it, there's that proud word again. I got to get rid of that one.
I mean, you could be proud of your own work, as long as it doesn't separate yourself from other people. I mean, as long as it doesn't put you in a place where you think you're above somebody else. We're all on the same level here.
We are.
I mean, a lot of people try to put me on a pedestal, and it's it's a little awkward. It's a little embarrassing when people act kind of weird or different when they meet me, and I would rather have someone come up to me and treat me as an equal, maybe we don't have the equal skill level, but I'm still a human being. I'm still a person. I still have feelings. I still have struggles, like they do. I still have problems. I still have issues that I need to work on myself, but I have learned a trait and put a lot of time into it that I've become successful at. It doesn't make me any better than anybody else. Unless you're going to judge me on it, then I better do my best.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, like I said, it's like, we just have to try to inspire people the best we can. And if I want to say anything about God, he just gives me the tools to deal with myself, with society, and that's all. It's not a control thing. Because if it was a control thing, then there was no way that I could get away from God. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If it was a full control thing, but it's not. If he says, you want to go off on your own and lead to your own destruction, go for it. Do I care about that? Of course. Do I want to bring you back into my family? Of course. And I'm just the messenger. As a Christian, I'm just the messenger of the message. And the message is what's important. And it's important. It's way more important than all this that I have. All my achievements, all my motorcycles, all my skateboard collections and the art that I do and my beautiful home and everything that I have accomplished and everything, that doesn't even hold a match to God's word and the wisdom and truth behind it. That could all go away. If I have the God's word in my heart, that means more to me than anything.
We can shut it off now because you got to feed your kids, and I always feel bad. But thank you so much for your time and your words. And I appreciate you, taking a chance and sitting down with me. Thank you. That's all I can say, man. I just appreciate the time.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope, this message resonates in someone and they change their life around, and they do give God a chance because, like I said, he's not there to make you have a bad time. I mean, life's fun. I've lived it. You know what I mean? I've gotten some crazy stuff that's really fun, but it hasn't been the most productive thing in my life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, he's just trying to protect you, man. That's it.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm very much going to take some of these words to heart today. I appreciate this. This whole adventure with the podcast was 2 years of my life doubting myself. And
don't ever doubt yourself.
And I finally had a friend sit down and did a podcast episode number 1. And I sat for 7 hours questioning why I would bother pushing that upload button. And I finally did it. And it's opened so many doors to the career that I want to build with my art, whether it's working with certain companies that have reached out, being able to talk to people like you. And I mean, I've learned lessons from you today. And
yeah. And it's not about the numbers. If you just reach one person, that's all that matters, man.
Yep.
Not about the numbers. It cracks me up when churches be like, yeah, 100 people got saved today. It's they're so proud about the number of people. I mean, it's a great thing to have multitudes come to Christ, but don't rest on that.
Yep.
Next year we got to get 200 and we got to beat that record.
I do. Yeah.
Like I said, they shouldn't be proud of that. They should just be grateful that someone was there to open their heart to listen, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you because, like I said, I'm just a dude that knows how to ride a skateboard.
And has some very good
not
words.
As good as other people.
Yeah, nowadays I watch some of the stuff now and my mind, it's right out of the video game. And it doesn't even register how it's possible.
Blows my mind. I skate with a little 12-year-old girl that is incredible, and she's from Canada, and that's the one that Colin it's helping. Her name's Reese Nelson. And oh my goodness, this girl, just her love for skateboarding, her drive, her grit, reminds me of probably Stacy just seeing me for the first time and being like, wow, that person is going to make a name in skateboarding. And this little girl is going to make a name in skateboarding as a woman, and also a young 12-year-old that's pushing the limits to what's possible for a 12-year-old girl. And she's showing other people like, hey, that could be me. And it can. If you just have heart, you have passion, you're passionate, you're just as capable, So
I truly appreciate the level of women skateboarding now. They shred.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I was talking to Colin, or we were talking to Bucky last, you can't say now, I mean, it's kind of male chauvinistic, but you can't be like, man, you skate like a girl.
That's actually a compliment.
That's a compliment. Because I'm like, whoa, I wish I could skate as good as 12-year-old Reese. She's incredible.
Yeah, I always see Colin post the videos of her, and my mind is blown. And she's so stylish when she does it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Her mom's great too. Lindsay's amazing. She's so supportive, has a great attitude. And so she's got a really good foundation and a support group that is going to help her succeed in the best way possible. So if Reese keeps continuing surrounding herself with the right people, it's going to do wonders for her family, for Canada, for women's skateboarding. You know what I'm saying? Just for our sport in general, it's going to push it to new levels.
That's what we want. We want to see it keep growing and keep expanding. We don't want to ever see a early 90s downfall again.
Skateboarding will never be that. It's one of those things that just keeps reinventing itself. It is the true fountain of youth, I have to say.
And I'm going to get back on it here shortly.
All right. Peace out and God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Life of Phys Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed our show, and don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to bring you content and the stories of our incredible guests. And remember to stay connected with us on all social media platforms. It's at LIFE_OF_PHYS, or on the internet at www.lifeofphys.com. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great day.